Here we go now. There's, of course, Verlander today with Billy Epler at Citi Field putting on a jersey. The Mets replaced one star with another here in 2023 with the American League Cy Young Award winner on his way to the Hall of Fame. Howie, of course, is a Hall of Famer, too. What a broadcaster he is. He does all the Met games on the radio. He's been there forever and ever and ever. And he says, he's bouncing around in Florida, breaking 90 on a golf course.
No,
Howie, good afternoon.
90.
How are you today?
I'm well. Thank you for the kind words. I'm in double digits. I didn't break 90 yet. That might take another 5 years, but give me time.
Give you time indeed. This is a great signing here after losing DeGrom. Let me get your take on that first. Go ahead. Let me hear.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, you were looking at a guy who was not going to get a 5-year deal from the Mets. And considering that he'd made 26 starts over his last 2 years, and given what Verlander accomplished last year, I think the Mets have a right to feel pretty good about how they've replaced one Cy Young winner with another. Obviously, there are always going to be age concerns when you got the two guys at the top of your rotation pushing 40, but as accomplished as they are, you take the leap of faith that they'll be fine.
Yeah, listen, I think it's, you have to wonder a little bit. Are you somewhat concerned, Howie? Because the Mets are now an October team. That's the whole schedule is 11 games, 12 wins. Are you somewhat concerned that Verlander was not great in this past year's postseason? Does that worry you a little bit?
Well, it's two separate seasons, right? And I just think that with all of the difficulties that Verlander seemed to have winning games in the World Series, the postseason before last year, he got that, quote, monkey off his back. Whether that counts for anything next October, we'll see. But, again, when you're talking about guys of that pedigree, of Scherzers, of Verlanders, again, you give them the benefit of the doubt and assume that they'll be just fine when crunch time comes around.
All right, you like another bat in that lineup. How imperative in your eyes is that for this Mets team for next year?
I think they could use one, absolutely. I think they need unquestionably better production out of the designated hitter spot than they did last year. And so whether that means they go into the season with Vogelback as the left-handed DH and Ruff as the right-handed DH, I say that's up for some serious consideration. I would not be shocked to see them add a bat who could at least challenge, if not usurp, one of the incumbents for one of those two roles. Whether that's Michael Conforto or somebody else remains to be seen, but I think that's very much in play.
Are you a little concerned by the idea that the Mets, spent a fortune on Diaz and Nimmo, and, you expect them to almost be as good as they were last year in Diaz's case specifically, and you can't expect them to be that good again, and the Mets are going to expect that. Are you concerned there or not? Let me hear.
Well, expectations are funny because if you're grading against a curve which was established by Edwin Diaz last year, or 4 years ago now, and you say 57 games in the American League, you can step back and say he might never have a season like that again. But he doesn't have to be among the most elite, if not the elite reliever in Major League Baseball. And as far as Nimmo is concerned, I don't know that anybody was going to come close to giving Brandon 8 years, but, they're getting a solid leadoff hitter and everyday player who gets on base, can make spectacular catches like that. That one was as good as he's ever made at $20 million a year, which, all of a sudden, as wacky as it sounds, that's not a bad deal for the club, at least as far as the average annual value goes. So I think it was imperative, if at all possible, that they bring Nimmo back, and they were able to accomplish that. And if Diaz isn't quite what he was last year, because can Aaron Judge be quite what he was last year? Anything close will be just fine.
Are you confident that Senga is going to be great?
Oh, no. I haven't seen him. I mean, I certainly like what I've read about him. And what's intriguing, too, is that all I know is what I've read, right? And a lot of the scouting reports say as nasty as that split is and as high octane as his fastball is, around the edges, he still has some erratic moments with his secondary pitches. You know what? Maybe somewhere down the road, whether it's this year or later, he works and fits better out of the bullpen. And that would be an expensive arm to work in relief at $15 a year for 5 years. But, we don't know. There's a lot of adjustment that a pitcher coming over from Japan has to make. Smaller ball. They only work once a week there, things like that. But Billy Epler to his credit, has been scouting Japanese players for a long, long time and has a pretty good handle on what to expect from this guy. And I would certainly pencil him in to be a number 3 starter for the entirety of the 2023 season, barring anything unforeseen.
Very interesting about who would be the team to pick in the NL East on opening day, Howie, because you could take the Braves because of their consistency. You could take the Phillies for what they did last year in the postseason. I know no Harper for a while, but they didn't have Harper last year. They went 32-20. And you can take the Mets, who basically from day one last year into the end of the season were really, on the body of work, may have been the best team. You can go either one of those 3 on opening day in this tough division. Let me hear your thoughts on that.
I think you're exactly right. You know, you can pick the Mets one morning, wake up the next day and say, pick the Braves. And then the morning after that, say, I kind of like the Phillies. That's going to be fun. You know, to have a 3-team scramble like that at the top of the division is great. Now, you know, there's also a chance, and I heard what you said to Alana a couple of minutes ago about the difficulties of getting 3 teams from one division in, but it happened last year. And I see no reason why the Mets, Braves, and Phillies won't be among the postseason teams this coming season. And again, I'm not a big fan of 12 teams. I think it's too many. I worry. I really mean this. I really worry that within 5 years from now, when they get Oakland's situation straightened out and Tampa Bay's situation straightened out, that they're going to expand by 2 more teams, and we're going to be just like the NBA and the NHL and have half of the teams in the postseason. I hope it never happens. I fear that it will.
Yeah, interesting argument there. It does give the lower market team a better opportunity, but I do understand where you're coming from. Are you high on the balanced schedule or don't like the unbalanced or don't like the balanced schedule for next year? You're only going to get the Braves, and the Braves are not going to come to New York. They're done in August. You're done with the Braves in August. You probably, as a traditionalist, hate that. Let me get your take on that. I haven't heard it. Go ahead.
You're exactly right. You know, I am kind of a fossil. I liked it when there was no interleague play, when you had each team in each league competing on an even playing field for the postseason. I don't like to be playing important games in September against teams in the other league. I hate it. I'll never really embrace it. So, you know, the balanced schedule to me just takes it one step further away from what I think it should be. But you know, again, I'm 68 going on 69, not 9 going on 10. And if that's who they're trying to reach, so be it. But I like competitive integrity. And I think the further we balance out the schedule like this, the less competitive integrity there is within each league. And that's why I worry too, Chris, that if they ever do expand to 32 teams, the American and National Leagues, as we know them, will cease to exist, because then the next step is they realign everybody, and there goes 150 odd years of tradition and history. But, you know, again,
good job.
I'm a relative.
You're 68. I'm 63 going on 73. So I understand where you're coming from that standpoint.
Oh, something's fishy with you, because I've known you for, 35 years? You look younger now than you did when I met you. You're doing something goofy. Are you juicing? Are you on the clear? What's going on? What's up?
Yeah, I'm not juicing. Not yet. Give me a chance.
Not yet?
Not yet. Not yet.
No, it's not fair. You look too young.
I gotta hit those drives 270. I'll start juicing then. Always a pleasure, Howie. Keep in touch. Thanks for coming on today. Short notice. Appreciate it.
270. That's 2 of them for me.